Hello, everybody. You're welcome to Just for Women Africa. My name is Olaleko. I'm also the founder of Just for Women Africa. Today on the show, we have us Vaughn. Vaughn is from Washington, United States. She's talking to us about her life. She was sexually molested when she was a child. She went into drugs. And of course, we ended on a happy note when she met the love of her life. She'll be talking to us about all that. So stick around and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody. You're welcome back to Just for Women Africa. We have us Vaughn. Vaughn, you're welcome to Just for Women Africa.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Thank you.
You're welcome. Could you just tell us briefly about yourself to our viewers?
I'm 60 years. I just turned 60 this year.
Wow.
I have 5 kids, 3 grandkids, and I used to live in Seattle, Washington, and then I moved here to Ghana 2 years ago, June.
Okay. Well, I must say you don't look 60. if somebody had told me you looked like 60, I said, the hell no.
Yeah, I get that.
Can you tell us what's the secret?
I don't know. Especially because of my lifestyle, I pray and thank God all the time for me being able to be the way I am today, whether it's my mind, my health, the way I look, because there's people that's been through my lifestyle, my past, and maybe not even as bad as mine, but has some challenges, once they stopped or their life has changed. So I thank God all the time. So I don't know, but I work out as much as I can. I love to work out. Since being here, my eating has changed, and that's helped.
Okay.
So, but my one of my daughters, she tells me, she said, "Mom, when I look at you, I know I got hope. I know I'm gonna be good when I get old."
It must be in the genes then.
Yes, because my mom, she looked very well. She looked really young too at her age. She passed a couple years ago from kidney failure, but she was 73, and you would not thought she was 70.
Okay, that's good. So, yeah. All right, so let's talk to us about your childhood. You were molested when you were a child. Could you talk to us about that? What happened?
Well, my mom, she met her husband at the time, which was my stepdad. And so the molestation came from him. It went on for a very long time. I tried to tell, but the things that he was telling me, how they would respond or how I would feel, was looking like what he said, such as, when you tell them, they're not going to believe you, they're not going to want you to no more to be part of the family, like they'll ridicule you and all this kind of stuff. So when I did briefly try to say something, it looked like my mom was not believing me. So I was like, okay, let me just, it was what it was.
Okay. All right, so could you give us more details? What age was that, and how did it happen? Was it like when your mom wasn't home, or while you were sleeping, when everybody was in the house?
Yeah.
Can you tell us how exactly happened?
It started, I believe, when I was around 7, and at that time, it wasn't like the actual act. It was more or less just touching that I remember. It went on until my adult days, because that's led to the drugs. But it happened when I'd be at home, my mom be gone. When I was in high school, my mom would get ready to leave, and I'd be like, "Mom, can I go with you?" And I always wanted to go with her, not stay home. But, she didn't know, so she was like, "No, you stay home. I got stuff to do." And so it would happen that way. When I say it led into my adult life, it's because when I was 7-8 months pregnant, with my first child, he was doing the drugs, and I didn't know, but he introduced it to me while I was pregnant, right? And so after the first couple of times I tried it, then I guess he could tell how I was responding to it. So then he brought the drugs into the act of the sex.
Oh.
Right, and so that went on for a while until I just eventually found a way to get away from it later on. I lost my kids through the drugs. So yeah, it went on that way with the molestation until, like I said, I finally I think it was when I got clean is when it stopped. So I got clean, and I ended up going to jail. So actually what happened with that was funny, is because at that time, I was wanting to stop, but I didn't have no support. I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know any of those things. I kept trying to get a shelter. I couldn't get in nowhere. I felt like if I got into a shelter, I could have time to get away from this. I knew I had a warrant for a traffic ticket. So one day I was out. I got stopped. The police, I'm like, okay, I'm going to jail. Yes, I can get my break. The police officer said, oh, you have a warrant for a traffic ticket. You need to take care of that. I'm like, you're not arresting me? He was like, no, just take care of it. I'm like, oh my God, here I go back into what I know. Going to jail and getting out, that's when I stopped, which was in 97. Okay. And at that point, the way I dealt with what he did to me, because through those years, my relationships were really, really bad. The type of men I chose, the way I treated men, and I always associated drugs with sex. Okay. So if I'm dealing with somebody who's doing drugs and they want to have sex, it was just hard for me to do, because in my mind I'm thinking, this is what I was taught and I didn't like it. It was a bad experience. So after I got clean, I went and confronted him. And I tried to confront him by myself. He's telling me he doesn't know what I'm talking about, quit talking about it. So then I'm like, and he got up and left. So I came back a second time. This time I came back with my mom. And I confronted him again. He got up and he ran to the bathroom and locked himself in. And so I realized that at that point, I said what I had to say. I just wanted an apology. That's all I wanted, was an apology. Because this is how you made me live my life, because of the things that you did. So after that point, I felt like just all this weight was taken off of me, because I can breathe now. I can be free now. I can be me. I can live life the way I felt like life should be lived for myself. And so he ended up dying. And on his deathbed, he couldn't talk or anything because he had dementia and Alzheimer's. But when I was in there and I was talking to him, I said, look, the day I came to see you, all I wanted was an apology. And then all of a sudden, tears just started coming from his eyes. To me, that was his apology. And I cried a little bit, but I felt, even then, I just felt like any little bit of thing that was left in me from him was gone. And just a quick story on how God works. When he had dementia and stuff, he had a nurse taking care of him, and he was wearing the diaper. And so one day they was like, Mom, Dad, my sister was like, Dad won't let us clean him. He's very dirty, and he's playing with his diaper and stuff, and he won't let us give him a bath. Can you come clean him? I said, God, are you really serious? You want me to go touch a man that was inappropriately touching me? But I obliged. So when I'm there and I'm looking at him, I thought, I can just drown you, it hurts you. Yeah. But I did it. I finished, and I just left humbly, like, okay, I oblige you, God. I don't know, this is your test for me to see how I'm really dealing mentally with this. So, so that was one of the weirdest story for me to deal with him because of what happened.
Yeah, same. I know this is hard for you. Okay, so let me just ask a few questions. First of all, at what age did he introduce you to drugs? And secondly, you said you were pregnant.
Right. So
was he his child?
No. I was 18. So no, it wasn't his child.
It wasn't his child. No. Okay. All right. And did your mother finally come around, accepting the fact that he abused you?
So when she went with me that day, to be honest, so the family heard about it from my mom, of course, but everybody was like, oh, she's lying. Daddy wouldn't do nothing like that. She's just making that up for whatever reason, And then all of us, it was just like, it happened, the conversation came up, and then it just disappeared. Wow. Like nobody else ever talked about it again. So it was just something that I guess they didn't want to hear or believe, so they just swept it under the rug like it never existed. Wow. So even to this day, and that was like 2000. So to this day, nobody's ever brought it back up, questioned me about it or nothing. And I didn't bring it up either. Only if anybody says anything to me about it is my kids.
Okay.
As far as my siblings and anybody else,
nobody has ever mentioned it. Your siblings have never brought it up. No. Do they believe you or they don't believe?
I don't know. For me, I felt like I didn't want to press the issue because I knew what I did helped me, because all I was there for is to get my mind right. You know, whether they believe me or not I didn't care. I just wanted to make sure that myself mentally and emotionally was good. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the drugs. What kind of drugs were you doing? Were you doing cocaine, meth?
It was
or
crack.
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 So he buys them. Did you ever buy yourself, or he always had to buy?
Like I said, he introduced it to me, and so I didn't know anything about buying or preparing or anything, you know. So then, I ended up getting into the drug world myself. Probably 84, maybe 86. 1986, I ended up getting into it myself, buying, then I started selling, then I started meeting dealers, and then I don't know, you know, like I've always been good with people. And so, and communicating with people. So I ended up being this big, well, they say I was a big drug dealer. I don't know. The police was always after me. They told me I was at the top of the second from the list, from the top person. They was after me, but they never could catch me. But I learned the whole field of dealing, selling, buying, fixing, distributing drugs, the whole scene. Like, I've dealt with so many different type of people in that lifetime with the drugs. I've dealt with undercovers, I've dealt with FBIs, I've dealt with snitches, like the whole thing, I've dealt with them. And it was just, when I think back on it, it was a crazy experience. The police did catch me for drugs one time, and that was by accident. It was a traffic violation pullover, and I didn't have time to hide my drugs. And when they found it, because I had a warrant, when they had me get out, the drugs fell out, and they called up the supervisor. They called up everybody. Guess who we got today? Because they've been trying to get me for years, and they could never catch me. Like, I would stay in motels, and they would tell the motel owner that if they didn't put me out, they would close them down because they want me out. So I went from one little city to the next little city. If I catch you over here again, we're going to arrest you. I moved to another. If we catch you over here, we're going to arrest you. If we hear your name on the street, we're going to arrest you. You know, so after a while, I was like, okay, let me just leave this whole side of town, you know. So, but then that's when I decided I was ready to stop. I didn't know. That's when I went to the story of having the warrant that I was going to go to jail. But I ended up going later for a violation or something. I ended up going, and I went for I was around somebody who had a weapon.
Okay.
So I knew I was about to sit down for 5 years. I was ready. They put me in the police car, I went straight to sleep, because I knew I was going to be gone 5 years automatic. But I ended up getting 22 months.
22 months? 22
months, which was in 97.
Okay.
And then I got out 99. And that's when I confronted my stepdad. And then my life just changed from there. You know, people tell us, people who have felonies, that we can't get, at that time, you couldn't get your voting rights back, you can't get no passport, and you can't have gun rights. All that was stricken from me. But here I am in Africa.
Okay.
So I got my passport, I got my voting rights, and I filed to get my gun rights back before I left.
Okay, that's good.
So all that's possible for people who think that it's not.
Okay.
You know, so I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay, so let's talk about the drugs. You were injecting yourself, or you were sniffing?
No, I was smoking crack.
Okay, smoking crack.
Smoking crack.
So how were you able to wean your body off that? Once you started today, how challenging was that for you?
Wow. Well, so you know, when I had lost all my kids due to crack. Like I had 5 kids. I lost them all. I had 3 with me at first, and then those 3 got taken. Then each time I got pregnant at birth, they were taken. And that made me just want to just do more drugs more and more and more and more, trying to just forget. And so, but for me I went to treatment multiple times, outpatient, inpatient, 3 months, 6 months, you know, and I just wasn't ready. Because it's all about when you're ready. And so, but at that time, like I said, when I went to jail the last time, at that time I was saying, like, I was trying to get help, but I didn't really know who to reach out to. I didn't have no clean friends that I could call to support me. All I knew was people who did drugs. But I knew I wanted to stop. So when I ended up going to prison, that was it. It was crazy because I didn't do anything in prison to prevent, for a preventative type of education. When I got out, I just knew I didn't want it anymore. I knew that was God's way of saving me from the drug world, because I just didn't know what else to do. So when I went in, I did my time, I got out. I know I didn't want to be part of that anymore. I know I didn't want to. I found out some of my family started using it, and I tell them, you guys see what I went through, what would make you, but I understood the addiction world. Mm-hmm. So I didn't judge them, I didn't fault them. I'm here if you need me.
Okay.
And it just went like that.
So each time you went for treatment and you came out, mm-hmm. was it like a friend introducing you back into drugs, or you went looking for them?
So one of the times I ended up going to treatment, I caught myself trying to make some money and sell. I'm like, okay, I'll just sell it, I won't use it. But all I know is people who smoke. So I was around those people who were smoking. And I told them, look, you guys, I'm not using it, so don't offer me any. And nobody did. But then I'm sitting there and there's this feeling you get, and that feeling was coming, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh God. I'm like, okay, I can just do a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm like, let me try it. I was like, but you said, I know, I'm lying. I've tried it already. Just, come on. So I started back up that time. So each time it was me. It wasn't nobody like, hey, come back and try this or anything. It was just me thinking I could do it without the help, or I had it under control, which I really didn't. But like I said, when I really wanted to quit, I knew I wanted to, I just didn't know where to go. And being locked up was what saved me, because I think even if I would have went to jail with the ticket that I had, it would have been like maybe 20 days. Mm-hmm. And I would have got out and probably went right back to the same place that I knew. But this, because I ended up going to work release, so they help you get a job, they help you with housing, they help, so that, doing that and living that life, because I didn't never live a normal life, really. I always stayed with my parents, and then I stayed on my own for a couple of years, and then I got into the drug world. Mm-hmm. So going through that phase of being locked up, learning and getting the opportunity to work, have a job, have my own place, that made me realize this is what I want. This is my lifestyle that I want, and this is what I deserve. I've been through too much. So that's how that ended.
Okay. So you said you were selling drugs and all. This is just my last question, mm-hmm. about part of your life. Then we'll move on to something else. Mm-hmm. You said you sold drugs. How much did you make?
There was one point where I made like $30,000 in one day.
In one day?
In one day. That scared the mess out of me. I closed down, went someplace and got a room, stayed for a couple of days. I was like, nah, this can't be right. Somebody's coming after me. This is a setup, But basically, I was bringing in probably like $30,000 a month just for myself. Because I wasn't buying small, I was buying large. Mm-hmm. And then my clientele wasn't really that big, but they bought big. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like it always go quick. Mm-hmm. But even still, $30,000 a month is still a lot of money, It
is a lot of money.
No, it's just my own take home. That's not, and that's after buying, repackaging, paying bills and everything like that. Was just my own money.
Okay, viewers, stick around and we'll be right back. We'll be talking about Yvonne, about her move to Ghana and how she made the love of her life, and anything else that comes up in the conversation. So stick around and we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Just for Women Africa. We have us Yvonne. Okay, Yvonne, can you tell us, why did you move to Ghana, and what has your experience been in Ghana so far?
Oh, wow. So, I came to Ghana, my first visit, which is in 2014. I came for a guy. And
a guy?
Yeah, I met online. I did the online thing. Oh my God, there's so much before that even then.
Online where? Facebook?
No, I was on this app called Tagged.
Okay.
I believe it's still going on. I've heard somebody mention it once or twice, but it was, yeah. So I met the guy on Tagged. I came here to see him, and I always wanted to come here. I used to get my hair done by some lady from Senegal and Ghana, and these two people, they would always play these African movies, and I'm like, is that really what Africa looks like? Because that's not what we were told it looks like, you know. So she's like, oh yeah, that's it. I'm like, wow, I need to go. So I was online and I seen this guy, he was here. And I'm like, let me just talk to him, see what's going on. He's like, oh, you should come visit, you know. So I came to visit and it didn't work out. We're still friends to this day.
Okay.
But we're still friends, but the relation part just didn't work. But we're still friends. So anyway, so when I came though, the first time and I went home, I was very depressed and I didn't understand why. But I also knew that I wanted to visit again. So I came back and visited again, and I went back home. And I was the same again, depressed and everything. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I just didn't understand. Come to find out, I didn't want to be in the U.S. anymore. I wanted to be in Ghana. I knew that this is where I wanted to be. So I kept telling everybody, I'm moving to Ghana, I'm moving to Ghana. So every time they see me visit, because I would visit once or twice a year, every year. And they're like, are you moved yet? I'm like, no, not yet. You know, I'm still trying to figure some things out to make my move be right for myself. But I was at work one day and I was sitting at the stoplight driving and God was like, it's time to go.
Okay. So you just hopped on the plane and you came?
I called my daughter and said, I'm selling the house, help me get my house out. I packed up what I wanted to bring, got rid of things I didn't want, shipped things here. I came, found a place to move into, and I came here.
Oh.
Like I knew this is where I wanted to be. No regret, like everything I'm doing right now while I'm here is all blind faith. Because I had ideas of things I wanted to do, but I didn't really have a plan.
Okay.
So I'm just here living, and I'm just here living off of the money I came with.
Okay.
Me and my husband, we have small jobs that we do here and there, which helps. But for the most part, that's just where we're at.
That's right, yeah. Okay, let's talk about the relationship with yourself and your husband. You're older than your husband?
Right.
By how many years?
33 years.
How many years? I had to ask. I wasn't sure if I heard correctly, so I just had to ask again. So could you say that again? Could you say it slower?
33 years.
33 years.
Yes. So meeting him was not something I planned. I didn't even plan on really getting married, and if I did, it wasn't no time soon. And even I didn't pursue him; he pursued me. And because of the age thing, I was like, I don't know. It's. I don't know. And so, but the way he came at me and the way he is, his mannerism, his attitude about life, he's very mature. And so he kept saying, we were hanging out and stuff. And then he was like, my intention is just to be with you. I don't know what yours is for me, but mine is to be with you. So we need to figure out what you're going to do because I'm not wasting time.
Oh, that was deep.
Right. No, that's something I should be saying. You know what I'm saying?
He has lyrics.
So, we hashed out a few things. We talked all about it, the age thing, having kids, how I am, how he is, how it could clash in certain things. And plus, we're the same zodiac sign, and I've never had good relations with my same sign because we clash a lot.
Okay.
And so, so we got through everything, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try and see where it goes. I forget because of his maturity. I forget sometimes that he's that young.
Okay.
I really do. But then there's certain things that he do. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Kids, yeah.
I do this now. You know what I'm saying? And so, but we talked through everything. We have no problem with communicating. We have no problem with communicating. We were clashing a little bit, but we've learned to talk. We learned to come back to each other. We've been married January this year, but we met April last year of 22. Okay. So in this time, we're now at this point where you would think we've been together forever. Because the way we are, and we still have some stuff to learn about each other, but because we're able to talk to each other and listen to each other, it took a minute to get to that point where he puts himself in my shoes and I have to put myself in his shoes. The things that we clash at sometimes is the language, not the language that their native language, but the way they understand words compared to how we understand words.
Definitely.
You know, so we clash a little bit in that, and our conversations when it comes to stuff like that takes a little bit longer because now we have to explain exactly what we're talking about before we can actually finish the conversation. So, I mean, it's working. Yeah.
That sounds like a beautiful love story.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You've been in Ghana since 2014. Let's talk a bit about Ghana. What do you love about Ghana? Have you tried that? What food do you love most?
Right, so I don't have many.
Okay.
So I'm very picky either, but my favorites is jollof rice. I eat red. I eat cantonbre, I think he makes for me.
Oh, he cooks for you.
Oh yeah.
People watching, guys watching.
Yes,
you need to cook for your woman.
He'll cook he'll take the whole day and cook a whole bunch of different stuff, and then we'll just freeze it.
Okay.
But then when it comes to where I'm like, okay, I've had enough of the African food, let me fix some American food, then, you know, I'll cook my own stuff. And there's some of the stuff that he likes. I have some things shipped in from US that I can't find here.
Okay.
What else? You know, then we have American stores here, so I can find some of the things I like. But yeah, so he cooks all the time. No
He cooks all
problem.
the time.
No problem.
That's lovely. The husband is here. I don't know whether we can get him on the screen somehow, but he's here. He's behind the scenes and he's smiling and he's, blushing at that. He's done really well. Cool.
Right.
Cooks. That's nice.
Yes.
Okay, that's lovely. All right. All right. So at the round of the interview, this is just for Women Africa. What's your advice to women in Africa, in America, and all over the world who are watching, who've been through what you've been through, the molestation, going through drugs, and feel that that's low part of their life, and they're really trying to get out? What's your advice to them?
My advice would be make sure you can find somebody that you can talk to. You're not in it alone. Anything and all those things that has happened to you from them is not your fault. Find somebody to talk to, even if you just have to go to church and talk to somebody, but don't feel like you have to keep it a secret, because what was done to me and what is being done to many women and men should be stopped. And so just know that there's someone who's listening. There's someone there who will listen. And I've always put out, if anybody finds me on Facebook or wherever, I'm here. I can help you. Even my daughter, she went through molestation from one of my exes, and I had to help her get through it. So now she has a better understanding of why it happened. I told her what she's feeling before she felt it, so it helped her get through it. So just know that you're not alone. There's thousands of people who are going through the same thing. And it's just a matter of being able to talk and not feeling ashamed. You can't feel ashamed, because when you're ashamed, you don't want to talk. And your self-esteem goes down and you start doing all these weird things. So just know that there's people here who's willing to help you, who's willing to talk to you and help you get through it.
Okay, Vaughn, thank you so much for being here with us on Just One Africa. You've done really lovely.
Of course, thank you.
And so if you're also watching, like, subscribe, tell your friend who knows a friend about Just Women Africa. And of course, she has a YouTube channel.
We do. Me and my husband, we have a YouTube channel. It's under Daniel and Vonzetta. We talk about our relationships. We talk about different things that we facing in our relationship. We bring in things from around Ghana. So look us up and subscribe to us.
Yes, subscribe.
Right.
And thank you so much. You've been lovely.
Of course. Thank you very much. All right.
All right, to the next show from the Night Wave. Bye.